In Python, lists are just everywhere. They hold everything from usernames to sensor data, but what happens when that data gets a little messy? Well, today, we're going to master the essential skill of removing items from a list, doing it precisely and efficiently. Let's dive right in. So, have you ever been there? You've got a list, and it just needs a little cleanup. Maybe you're getting rid of a user who unsubscribed, or just deleting a duplicate entry. It's a task pretty much every single developer faces. Thankfully, Python gives us an amazing toolkit for this. And our first tool is all about being super precise. All right, first up we have the remove method. I always like to think of this as a precision scalpel. You use it when you know the exact value of the item you want to cut out, but maybe you don't know exactly where it is in the list. Okay, so here's the key thing to remember about remove. It searches your list for the specific value you give it, finds the very first time it appears, and takes it right out. It's all about the content, not the position. Let's see it in action. It's super straightforward. We start with our list of fruits. Then we call this list.remove banana. We're literally telling Python, hey, go find the string banana and get rid of it. And as you can see from the output, it does exactly that. Banana is gone. Clean and simple. But there are a couple of really important things to keep in mind here. First, if you have duplicates in your list, remove will only take out the very first one it finds. Second, and this one's a biggie, if you try to remove something that isn't actually in the list, your whole program is going to crash with something called a value error. And finally, if you need to get rid of all the bananas, not just the first one, you're going to have to use a loop. Okay, so if remove is our scalpel for finding values, then you can think of pop as a pair of tweezers. You use this when you need to pluck an item out from a very specific position, or what we call an index. And that's the key difference, right? Pop works by location. You give it the index number of the item you want to remove. But here's the really cool part. Pop actually hands you back the item it just removed, so you can save it in a variable or use it for something else. Check this out. In this example, we call this list.pop1. Now remember, Python starts counting from 0, so index 1 is actually the second item, which is banana. And notice what happens. Not only is banana removed from the original list, but we've captured it in our removed item variable. This is so useful when you need to do something with the data you've just taken out. Now, pop has another neat trick up its sleeve. If you call it without giving it any index at all, it just automatically removes the very last item from the list. This behavior is absolutely perfect for creating what we programmers call a stack. Just think of a stack of plates. You put a new plate on top, and you take a plate off the top. The last one you put on is the first one you take off. It's a really common and powerful pattern in programming. Okay, so we've seen methods that work by value and by position. Now let's talk about a real power tool, the del keyword. And that word keyword is important. It means del isn't a method you call on a list. It's a fundamental command in the Python language itself, and it is incredibly flexible. So del, which is short for delete, can do a lot. Just like pop, it can remove an item by its index. But it can also do way more, like removing a whole chunk of items at once, what we call a slice. It can even delete the entire list variable right out of your computer's memory. So we can use del in 3 main ways. First, to remove a single item by its index, just like we could with pop. Second, and this is where del really shines, we can remove a whole slice or a range of items at once. And finally, we can just completely delete the entire list variable. Poof, gone. So, when should you use del instead of pop for a single item? Well, here's a good rule of thumb. If you just want the item gone and you don't care about its value afterwards, del is more direct. It's cleaner. If you need to capture what you just removed, you've got to use pop.
Phew, we've covered a lot of ground. We've got remove, pop, and del. But how in the world do you choose the right one for your situation? Let's put everything side by side for a quick comparison. But first, let's clear up one common point of confusion. We've talked a lot about del, but there's also a method called clear. The difference is absolutely crucial. Clear removes all the items inside the list, leaving you with an empty container, like an empty box. The list variable is still there. Del, on the other hand, deletes the entire list from memory. The box itself is gone. So let's do a super quick recap of how to choose. Just ask yourself a simple question. Do I know the value of what I want to remove? Use remove. Do I know its position and do I need to get that value back? Use pop. Do I just want an item at a certain position gone for good or a whole slice of items? Use del. And if you want to wipe the list totally clean but keep the variable around, that's when you use clear.
Okay, knowing the tools is one thing, but using them like a pro is something else entirely. Let's finish up with a few quick tips that will help you write safer, more efficient, and just better Python code. First, always handle potential errors. Remember that value error we talked about with removing? You can prevent crashes by first checking if item in list or by wrapping your code in what's called a try except block. Second, always choose the right tool for the job. It makes your code so much easier for others and for you to read later. And finally, the best way to really get this stuff down is to practice. Seriously, open up a Python terminal and just play around. Build that muscle memory.
So there you have it, a complete toolkit for tidying up your Python lists. Now, the next step is to actually apply it. Think about a project you're working on right now. Which one of these tools are you going to use first? Start experimenting and happy coding.